This gear is only 30 bucks a pop. And it's pretty good gear. It's not earth-shattering gear. It is mid to late game player gear. It's not end game gear. This is the kind of gear where if you got this gear for free and you rolled it, you would say, yeah, you know what? This is pretty good. Usable, right? You hear a lot of people say, usable, pretty good. Yeah, I'll find a place for this. I'll keep it. But nobody is like, you know, hooting and hollering and screaming and being all excited that they got this gear, right? It's good gear, but it's not epic gear. This isn't the kind of gear that changes a late game player's account. This is gear that, you know, improves some characters. It's definitely usable, but it's not broken gear. This is not pay to win buying advantage. Most super end game players are not going to be purchasing this gear. Well, Reddit's always mad, Guapo. Reddit is always mad. Why is Reddit mad? Are they mad because it's not good enough, or do they feel it's too good? I'm curious. They think this is pay to win? None of these are like 20 speed. None of these are crazy and say the hit set one, which friggin' hit set, but this one is nice for openers. It's got 17 speed across the board. If you put all of this gear on, say your Ran, for example, I think you would be 290, 291 speed. How many people here feel like a 291 speed unit is pay to win? For real, how many people out there walk out and flex their 291 speed Ran in Elf Mage's chat? How many people are getting into the World Cup? How many people are ending Emperor with 291 speed Ran that aren't named Sue? Sorry, Sue. He's gonna yell at me for that. It's very good gear, but it's not broken gear. It's not end game gear. It's not account changing pay to win advantage gear. And it's cheap. This gear is targeting people who are struggling to do Wyvern. They're not winning in Guild Wars. They're feeling like they can't get to champs or even masters in RTA. And for 30 bucks a pop, less if you discount it, you could buy 5 sets of this and really kick your account up. I mean, given that's 150 bucks, but we just talked about spending 100 bucks on one freaking unit. So 150 bucks to get 5 really, really good pieces of gear. Not broken pieces of gear, not... Elf Mage isn't buying this shit and suddenly being better at RTA. Guys, nobody in World Cup is buying this gear and getting a huge leg up over people in World Cup who didn't buy this gear. The people who are at the top of the game have gear that blows this away. This wouldn't even be in the top 10% of their good gear. But for somebody who's been playing for a year or two, this is fantastic gear. This gear solves problems. This gives them opener gear. This gives them, oops, wrong button. This lets them gear their Genua. This allows them to build a counter bruiser unit. Not knock it out of the park. Just actually build. Windy Breeze has a 292 speed Ran. This won't even let him build. This won't even let him purchase better than what he's already got for Ran. I think this is fantastic. I think Reddit is lost what's left of its damn mind. I think this is fantastic. I think this is a great way for people who have only been playing the game for a few months to maybe a year and a half to be able to buy gear that dramatically impacts their account without them selling advantage and widening the gap. This narrows the gap, right? Everybody bitches about widening the gap. This narrows the gap, and it turns newer players who are typically free to play or very, very light spending dolphins, into responsible spenders and dolphins. This turns people who aren't spending into spenders, and that is good for the game. That makes the game money, which allows them to fund making the game better. And it's good value. It's crazy to me that Reddit's biggest complaint is, now, this is value. But by your logic, they should give 20 speed gear so we can all compete against legend players. No, because the legend players will buy the 20 speed gear, and it just does this. Okay, this does this. Because it moves the free-to-play, newer players closer, and it doesn't impact the legend people at all. Because the legend people aren't buying this shit. I mean, they may because they're whales and they buy it, but it's not changing their account. Not really. It might make one or two of their ancillary units better and more effective, but their principal primary played units, the ones that are really going to give you the problems, this gear's not changing those units. And remember, this isn't about making 1 to 2 year players suddenly be able to enter World Cup. This is about making them feel good about playing the game. This is about making them feel like they're not left so far in the dust they'll never catch up. Anytime you have a big leap in your account, it builds hype, it gets you excited about the game, you're suddenly doing things you couldn't do before, you're winning Guild War fights, you finally cleared Abyss 102, you finally got past that asshole Zeo in Chapter 4, you hit these landmark moments. That is really, really good for a person's engagement with the game. It keeps people hooked, and I think this is a good thing for the game. Reddit's going to disagree with me, comment section will probably flame me, but I don't think anybody is buying this for advantage who's been playing for 4 or 5 years and has reached the end game. I think this is targeting newer and beginner players, which is probably why most of the packs in this section have the words welcome in it. I think this whole thing is designed to target newer players. If you want to talk about pay for advantage, pay to win packs, these two, I can't believe people are considering these packs pay for advantage when these packs exist. $200 to get roughly like 3 imprints into any one unit, to get bottles and slates and selecting the picks of the limited units. You spend $150 here and you're letting new to mid-game players catch up to the late game. This is a widening the gap pack right here. Every whale in the game's bought these packs to huge advantage. So yeah, there's plenty of pay to win shit out here, but this ain't it. This is pay to play. This is pay to feel better about your account. This is pay to catch up to the rest of your friends and get into the late game. Break out of that, break out of that wall that you were up against. Complete the content you've been struggling with. Gear the units the way you want them to be geared, not the way that Gente wants them to be geared, not the way that Light E7 wants them to be geared, but the way that the average late game player wants them to be geared, right? This is a really good thing, guys. People on Reddit are being unreasonable, and I can't think of a way they could have done this. I mean, what did Reddit want? Did they want the gear to be lower quality and higher priced? Then all they would do is bitch about how it's a terrible deal. Did they want it all to be 20 speed and $100? Well, then I'd agree with them, pay to win. They shouldn't sell any gear at all, dude. They've been selling gear forever. Equipment packs have been around for years. The most common complaint Epic 7 gets isn't free unequip, isn't charms rolling, or isn't reforged or respec charms only doing 2 speed over and over again. It isn't difficulty of Abyss. It isn't, the most common complaint about this game is, the most common complaint in this game is obtaining gear is too difficult. Have you noticed everything they've done lately has focused on obtaining gear? The changes to Rift get you gear faster, running multiple Lethe events in a 12-month period of time, like 3 of them, to get more gear, changing Abyss to make it so that you don't have to spend the currency that you spend on charms getting the gear. You now get the gear for free, and you can use that the currency to just buy charms to level it. So much of what they have done is focused on making gear more obtainable. They've done this on the free side, making gear more obtainable, and now they're doing it on the pay side. Before it was just random equipment packs. Now they're saying, hey, if you really want to whale out Here's some RNG equipment packs. They're really, really nice. But for those of you who are just starting out, those of you who are feeling lost and like you can't enjoy this game because you're so far behind, every streamer you watch is light years ahead of you, here's a way to basically catch up. For 150 bucks, you can basically get 6 months worth of farming done all at once. And here is some really good gear. It's not gear you're going to have on your best units a few years from now, but it's gear you're going to have on your best units for now, and it's going to let you catch up. I think selling this gear is perfectly fine, guys. And it's ridiculous to say they shouldn't sell gear when everybody's complaint is we can't get gear. And the first thing they do is they make gear more obtainable, free to play. They spent well over 6 months making gear. No, they spent almost a year making gear more obtainable, and only now are adding it to the shop, and they're adding it into a shop in a way that doesn't impact endgame players. Nah, fam. I think this is not only fine, I think it's a W. But why, Loki? Why fix the gear problem without selling gear? Why? Because what they did was fix the gear problem and sell gear. It's not like they said, oh, it's hard to get gear? Well, here's some equipment packs. Now it's easy to get gear. I'm really trying hard not to like just come off like some crazy white knight here, right? I have taken Smilegate to task and called them out when they have done stupid shit left and right, things I don't agree on. I've made videos and sent it to them and had them say, we really wish you hadn't said that. And I said, I don't care, it needed to be said. I am fine with calling them out when they do bad things, but I'm going to praise them when they do good things. And the order of operations here, gear is too hard to get. Fix that in game for free. More events that give gear. Stop giving out 78 gear and start giving out 88 gear. Increase the amount of gear that you get from doing rift and hunts. Change the way expeditions work so it dumps more reforge mats for less stamina. Change the way arena works so it gives more charms and more reforge mats and more gear. Doing rift so that rift takes half the stamina and gives twice the gear. Doing all these things to make gear more accessible, and only then, after they do all of that stuff, do they then say, also, for those of you who are struggling and just started out, and maybe you can't farm rift, maybe you can't do arena, here's a way to buy into that. You know, you can farm and do it the free way, but here's a way where you can drop just a little bit of money, $30 to $150, depending on how broke you want to go on this, and you can get the gear to now farm rift, to now farm hunts, to now do arena, and to start really catching up to the game. I think it's fantastic. Reddit disagrees. You guys are welcome to disagree too. You're entitled to be wrong all you want. I'm kidding. But for real, everybody can have a different opinion, and I love the discourse, but personally, I don't see a negative to this. I don't see a way that this negatively impacts the game at all. This only impacts the game on a early to mid game level. It takes early to mid game players to the late game without pushing them to the end game, and it doesn't change the end game at all. And that's balanced. Which top 2 packs would you recommend for the equipment packs? That for these gear packs, I would probably go with the opener pack. That could get you, 270 to 290 speed depending on the opener, so that you could have an opener unit. It's important to have units that go kind of fast for a lot of content in the game, PvE or PvP. And then I would probably go for the destruction pack, because pen is hard to get, and this is a really nice DPS set. So you got your opener and your support, and then you got your DPS and your nuker. Those would probably be the 2 I would look at. From there, I would probably look at the other 2 speed packs and maybe do the bruiser pack last, unless you've got a specific unit who could use the counter bruiser pieces. Counter bruiser is typically not a PvE oriented pack, so it depends where you are in the game. If you're very early in the game, what I said. If you're trying to break into RTA, you're trying to break into arena, you got great gear, but you're just kind of on the edge, this pack's really nice because a lot of counter immunity units are needed, right? And this HP one is nice too. It's mid speed. It's got a lot of HP on it. This is good for a speed-based, HP-based bruiser. I mean, this could be used on pretty much anybody that's an opener. This could be used on pretty much anybody that's an attack-based DPS unit. These are a little more specific, right? These are, you start saying this can be used on anybody, and you start saying these could be used on this specific unit or this specific unit type. This could be used on that specific unit or that specific unit type. I think in order, I would go this one first, this one second, this one with the 15 speeds and the crit chance subs third, because this one's probably of all of them the highest gear score, considering the crit set. And then these two would be dependent on what units you have and what goals you're trying to fulfill in the game, but I'm a speed Andy, so I'd probably go speed then counter. But you already picked up 3 speed sets, so maybe getting the counter set first would help round your account out a little better. And you know what one you get if you only have $20 to your name? You get none of them. Don't spend money when you don't have it to spend on a tap-tap anime booba waifu game. But if playing this game brings you pleasure, if seeing your account get better, if achieving goals makes you feel better, and that dopamine hit does it for you, and you really enjoy this game and it's fun for you, by all means, crack open the wallet and have fun. It's no different than buying a anime statue that you really like. It's no different than going out to the bar and having some beer with your friends. It's no different than dropping $150 on gas money to go to the beach and hang out there for a day. At the end of the day, you have nothing from it but some memories and some fun. And it's the same thing here. Spend responsibly.